completed. The male reproductive system was something that we had already seen, and we have to now go ahead with the concluding part of the male reproductive system. That is, we have to talk about the hormones, right? The rest of the things we have already seen. You have already received the presentation, the notes, my PPT. Huh? Okay, fine. Well, so anyone having any difficulty, let me ask me, let me know that first. If there is any difficulty in whatever we have done, or shall we go ahead? Anyone having any problem? Any part of the content has not been understood by anyone? Spermatogonial cell is same as that of spermatogenic cell. Yes, my dear, both are synonyms. Both are synonyms. Sebaceous glands are those glands which are going to synthesize a waxy substance, a waxy oily substance. Okay. So, like देखो कभी कभी है ना, even here on the nose and this area T junction, we generate oily, like ये आ जाता है हाथ के ऊपर. That is also because of the sebaceous glands. So sebaceous glands are going to synthesize oily or waxy type of lubricating fluid. Okay, you all received the. Okay, good. Good, beta. Okay, what are you asking? Gametogenesis and spermatogenesis is the same. See, beta, gametogenesis का मतलब होता है to generate gametes, right? Now the gametes could be the male gametes or it could be the female gametes. So gametogenesis is going to be a common word for generation of gametes, but spermatogenesis is specifically for the formation of the spermatozoa. Whereas oogenesis would be a word which will be associated with the formation of oogonia. So oogonia या spermatozoa both come under gametogenesis. ठीक है? हाँ. In meiosis they are told what pairing of homologous chromosomes takes place. So in sperms, obviously. Which is sperm is haploid. There is no homologous chromosome over there. है ना? They are haploid now. They'll be having only one set of chromosomes. So how can there be two pairs? Homologous will be only in diploid cells. Right? Huh. Some slides are blank. Why? I don't see. From my end, so it was which reproduction PDF you're saying? Male reproduction वाला वो जो PPT भेजा है उसमें that's okay. You receive that portion for biology. Good. Copulatory means the way the gametes can be passed from the male into the female. That is called as copulation. The process of passing of the gametes, that is passing of the spermatozoa from the males on into the female reproductive tract. That is called as copulatory. No, spermatogenesis is formation of spermatozoa in general. Spermiogenesis is conversion of spermatid into sperms. Okay. Spermiogenesis is the same one. Okay, I'll check if there are some slides blank, then I need to resend it to. I mean, from my end, when it went, it was all correct. Maybe when they convert it into PDF now, maybe that time I don't know if there is any technical error. I need to check. I'll just cross check with them and I can ask them to resend. Okay. Yeah, what are you saying, beta? It's written that spermatogenesis takes place in walls of seminiferous tubules. So what are these walls made up of? Cuboidal, germinal, epithelium. Right? It can be one to many layers. So it's generally your single layer of germinal epithelium, which is made up of cuboidal germinal epithelial cells. I told you they are only going to be called as spermatogonia. है ना? They are going to be spermatogonia. You would get it, Shwet, you would get it, you would get it, don't worry. If it's everyone would get it. Fine? Well, any more doubts, my dears? Any more doubts? Any more doubts? Shall we move ahead with the hormonal part? Go ahead. Okay, fine. So, hmm, I guess we had completed till here. This diagram we had completed. I had told you how the spermatid is getting converted into a spermatozoa. Yes, correct. So we go ahead with the next one. That is certain. Huh. What is your doubt, beta? Formation of gametes have three phases. Spermatogenesis is multiplication phase or spermatogenesis. Multiplication phase is type A to type A is multiplication, bacha. Okay, spermatogonia type A to making more type A. That is multiplication. Correct? Spermatogonia type A when it starts growing, it will become spermatogonia type B. That is the growth phase. And end of this particular sperm formation, it's going to be your maturation. It's going to be your maturation. Okay. Any more doubts? Any more doubts? Anyone has got any more doubts? नहीं? आगे जाए? Now we come across with something called as the male reproductive hormones. So the first hormone that we're going to talk about is follicle stimulating hormone. FSH binds with FSH receptors attached to the Sertoli cells in seminiferous tubules. Now, if you do recollect the tears of the lobule, we had seen there were three seminiferous tubules which were marked in purple color. ऐसे गोले बनाए थे पर्पल कलर के और उसके बीच में मैंने आपको सर्टोली सेल्स बताए थे which were tower like cells, है ना? So those tower like cells were called as Sertoli cells. And on the Sertoli cells, there is going to be presence of receptors. And these receptors are going to interact with that particular specific target. So these receptors are going to be for follicle stimulating hormones. So the follicle stimulating hormones will get attached to the FSH receptors which are present on the Sertoli cells. I told you that Sertoli cells are involved in nourishment. Do you remember? And I told you that it is also going to be synthesizing inhibin. याद है आपको? Exactly. वही है वो Sertoli cells. Now see, this causes the cells to grow and secrete various spermatogonic or spermatogenic substances and ABP. ABP is androgen binding protein. So what will happen? First, the FSH will be synthesized. Who synthesizes FSH? The pituitary gland synthesizes FSH. Okay. This FSH will then come in contact with the receptors which are present on the Sertoli cells. Okay. Now, this particular action of binding of the FSH with the Sertoli cell receptors will cause these cells to grow. And then they will start synthesizing various spermatogenic, means for the formation of sperms, whatever substances are required will be now started to be synthesized along with androgen binding protein. ठीक है? ABP का क्या function है देखो? It concentrates the testosterone inside the seminiferous tubules. So the testosterone was formed in the Leydig cell. Do you all recollect this diagram? If not, I'll show you. I'll show you this. Yeah, this one. See, these were the Leydig cells which were outside the seminiferous tubule. These were your, ये purple वाले जो है ये लंबे लंबे टॉवर के जैसे, they are going to be the Sertoli cell. Yeah, see, you can label डाला इधर देखो Sertoli cell. Here you can see the label. So these Sertoli cells के ये जो है, there will be the receptors, and on the receptors FSH will start to bind. It will start making ABP and some substances which are required for spermatogenesis. Now, what is the function of ABP? The function of ABP is going to concentrate the testosterone inside the seminiferous tubule. So, Leydig cells were making the testosterone. The Leydig cells were making the testosterone. Where was the testosterone? Outside the seminiferous tubules. Now, this particular testosterone, which is outside the seminiferous tubule, needs to be entered inside and get concentrated inside the seminiferous tubule. So, who would do this? This would be done by androgen binding protein. Is it fine? So, see, testosterone from Leydig cells enters the seminiferous tubules by diffusion under the effect of whom? Androgen binding proteins and promotes spermatogenesis. ठीक है, समझा ये? Well, so that is the function of ABP. So follicle stimulating hormone will be synthesized by pituitary gland. It will reach the it will reach the testes. They have to enter, or they have to get attached to the receptors of the Sertoli cells, which will cause the formation of ABP and spermatogenic substances. ABP will then pull all the testosterone inside the seminiferous tubule because testosterone is formed outside the seminiferous tubule. Who is going to be stimulating the formation of testosterone? The Leydig cell. Where are the Leydig cells? In the interstitial spaces. Interstitial means between the two seminiferous tubules, whatever space is there, it will be laden with Leydig cells. Correct? For this, LH, also called as luteinizing hormone or ICSH, both are the same. Okay, I mean, some books call it as LH, some books call it as ICSH. Both are the same. Okay, what is the function of the ICSH? See, it stimulates the Leydig cells to secrete testosterone. So even Leydig cell cannot secrete testosterone on its own. It requires a signal. It requires a signal which will be given by whom? LH. It's also a hormone, also called as ICSH. Leydig cells mature at the age of 10. So approximately by the age of 9, 10, 11, the Leydig cells are going to become mature. Okay, fine. Inhibin. I had already told you all that even inhibin is going to be produced. What is this inhibin? Let us understand. It is also secreted by the Sertoli cells in response to excess of spermatogenesis. So if the spermatogenesis is going to be too much in excess, then inhibin will inhibit, stop the process temporarily, of course. So the inhibin gives a negative feedback to the hypothalamus and the anterior pituitary. This results in the suppression of synthesis and release of FSH, that is follicle stimulating hormone. Therefore, spermatogenesis decreases. Okay, so in this way, the overall process of spermatogenesis can be completely under control by these hormones. Is it okay? So now just try to understand this. Hypothalamus is going to synthesize its secretion, which will go and tell the pituitary, come on, start making FSH, start making LH. That would be told to the pituitary gland by whom? By the hypothalamus. So hypothalamus is going to be the one who would trigger the pituitary gland to make FSH and LH. FSH, once produced by the pituitary gland, will reach the receptors in the Sertoli cells of the seminiferous tubules. Once it binds with the receptors in the seminiferous tubule, now the seminiferous tubules will start synthesizing androgen binding protein and spermatogenic substances along with inhibin. So three things will be produced by the Sertoli cells. Why? Because FSH got attached to it. Of that, the androgen binding protein is going to help in accumulation of testosterone inside the seminiferous tubule, because testosterone will be produced under the influence of LH hormone, by the Leydig cells. ठीक है, and Leydig cells seminiferous tubules के बाहर है. Okay, in this way टेस्टोस्टेरॉन अभी सेमिनिफेरस ट्यूब्यूल्स के अंदर बनने को स्टार्ट हो गया. जैसे ही टेस्टोस्टेरॉन बनने को स्टार्ट हो गया ना बेटा, इमीडिएटली the multiplication phase of spermatogonia, growth of spermatogonia and maturation of the spermatids, तीनों प्रोसेस फटाफट स्टार्ट हो जाते हैं. ठीक है, and if there is overproduction, spermatogenesis activity is taking place, it needs to be controlled. So this will be controlled by the hormone called as inhibin. ठीक है, got it? Yes. So that is about this particular process. Anyone having any difficulty with this particular slide especially? किसी को है difficulty? Tell me फटाफट. What is the full form of LH? Luteinizing hormone. आगे दिया है मैंने. Luteinizing hormone. What is the full form of ICSH? Interstitial cell stimulating hormone. Interstitial cells means Leydig cells ना बच्चा, है ना? So interstitial cell को stimulate करने वाला hormone. Last point is very simple बच्चा. If the spermatogenesis is going to be very much like too much made in excess, right, which need not be required to be so much excessively made. So in that case, what will happen? The inhibin which is going to be produced by the Sertoli cells will give a negative feedback saying it's already made in excess, don't make more of testosterone. So this is called as a negative feedback. I'm coming to it. I'll tell you what is a negative feedback. I'll tell you. See, in this slide only you will come to know what is a negative feedback. Okay. Well, look over here. Interstitial cells or Leydig cells produces testosterone that promotes the sperm formation. These Leydig cells are triggered by ICSH, interstitial cell stimulating hormone, produced by the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland. So pituitary gland is divided into two lobes, anterior and posterior. So the anterior lobe of the pituitary is involved in making this particular LH or ICSH, whatever. Under the control of FSH and testosterone, the Sertoli cells secrete androgen binding protein. It helps in concentrating the testosterone in the seminiferous tubules. Sertoli cells also produce inhibin that suppresses FSH formation. So to control, right? FSH acts on spermatogonia to stimulate sperm formation. So that's what I said, spermatogonia type A, spermatogonia type B, formation of secondary spermatocytes, formation of spermatid, everything will be under the control of FSH. FSH and LH produced by the pituitary is regulated by the hypothalamus, which produces GnRH, that is gonadotropin releasing hormone. What is the full form of GnRH? Gonadotropin releasing hormone. Fine. High levels of testosterone negatively feedback the GnRH from the hypothalamus. So look at this particular diagram. You will understand these things very precisely, beta. Don't worry. See, this is the master gland, hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is going to synthesize gonadotropin releasing hormone. गोनाड्स को मतलब गोनाड्स के लिए कुछ सिंथेसिस करने वाला, इसलिए गोनाडोट्रोपिन रिलीजिंग हार्मोन. रिलीज नहीं करेगा तब तक उसका इफेक्ट नहीं दिखेगा. सो हाइपोथैलेमस क्या सिंथेसाइज करता है बेटा? GnRH. ओके, GnRH will reach the anterior pituitary gland of the anterior portion. Now this anterior pituitary will synthesize two hormones, FSH and LH. Correct? FSH will reach the Sertoli cells. Right? Sertoli cells will produce inhibin along with ABP. ABP right now they have not given over here because ABP is going to bring this particular, testosterone inside the seminiferous tubules. So they are just talking about the functions. So Sertoli cell is going to be helping in two processes: production of inhibin, production of sperms, that is spermatogenesis. What is happening over here? Luteinizing hormone is going to get the Leydig cells to start making testosterone. तो देखो कितना वाया वाया सिग्नल आ रहा है. हाइपोथैलेमस ने जीएनआरएच बनाया, पिट्यूटरी को गुड मॉर्निंग कराया. पिट्यूटरी का गुड मॉर्निंग होने के बाद उसने दो चीजें बनाई, एक बनाया एफएसएच, एक बनाया एलएच. एलएच ने आके लेडिक सेल्स को गुड मॉर्निंग कराया, राइट. लेडिक सेल्स जैसे ही उनका गुड मॉर्निंग हो गया, उन्होंने उनका काम चालू कर दिया, टेस्टोस्टेरोन बनाने को चालू कर दिया. So you understood up till here what is the role of FSH and what is the role of LH. Anyone having any difficulty in this particular diagram, forget about the red arrows and all those things. Right now, whatever I have said, any difficulty in that? Hypothalamus produces GnRH. GnRH कोको खेलता है. GnRH किसको खो देता है? Anterior pituitary को. Anterior pituitary का गुड मॉर्निंग होता है, वो दो चीजें बनाता है, FSH एंड LH. ठीक है. FSH भी हार्मोन है, LH भी हार्मोन है. One is follicle stimulating hormone, one is luteinizing hormone. Follicle stimulating hormone नाम से ही पता चल रहा है, germinal follicles जो है उनका गुड मॉर्निंग कराना. So the FSH go and attach to the Sertoli cells, which are going to be a part of the seminiferous tubule, and they will start synthesizing androgen binding protein, which will initiate spermatogenesis. It will also produce inhibin. At the same time, the luteinizing hormone is going to reach the Leydig cells. Leydig cells को खो दिया, तो Leydig cells जागृत हो गए. What they have started making? They have started making testosterone. Now, under the influence of the ABP, the testosterone is getting pulled inside the seminiferous tubule, and that is going to trigger the formation of spermatozoa. So, in this way, spermatogenesis is going to take place inside the seminiferous tubule. Have you all understood up till here? Anyone having any difficulty up till here, my dears? Just go through it quickly and let me know if anyone has not understood. Testosterone is the hormone and sperms are the gametes. Testosterone is a hormone. It's a natural, ingredient produced for making for making the sperms. Okay. So testosterone एक hormone है and sperms male gametes है. Fine. हाँ. Gonads is collective name of ovaries and testes. Yes, my dears, it's a collective name. Perfect. Yeah. Any other difficulties? Please put up your difficulties on the chat. अपना क्या कहते हैं? Chat box. If there is any difficulty, please do let me know. Understood up till here? All of you? Okay. Now see what happens. The testosterone is also going to be. What will happen after the testosterone hormone is produced? Only after the testosterone hormone is produced, then the spermatogonia type A will start undergoing mitosis. Only then spermatogonia type B will become activated. Only then it will undergo meiosis 1. Only then it will undergo meiosis 2 to form spermatid. Only in the presence of testosterone, the spermatid will undergo spermiogenesis to get converted into sperms. So all the processes that we have studied earlier are only possible because of testosterone. Fine? Got it? Meiosis 2 is basically mitosis means it's equational division, but the number of chromosomes are half. Right? LH and FSH are only present in males? No. It's also present in females. What is the role over there? I'll let you know, of course. Okay. G point क्या है? High level of that's what I said, beta. Don't look at the negative feedback wala point right now. Just focus on that arrows coming down. Is there any difficulty with the arrows coming down wala part? I have not yet explained this red part, that is negative feedback wala. I have not yet explained. Okay. Now see what is going to happen. If there is a lot of spermatogenesis taking place, uncontrolled होना कोई भी चीज अच्छी बात नहीं होती है, right? Anything in excess is bad. So when there is excessive spermatogenesis taking place, that time the inhibin which is secreted by the Sertoli cells will reach the anterior pituitary gland. Where will it reach? It will reach the anterior pituitary gland, and it will give a negative feedback that do not produce follicle stimulating hormone. Bas ho gaya. No need of FSH. Why? Because this is already in excess. So stop the FSH synthesis. Did you all understand? So who is giving a feedback to anterior pituitary? The inhibin hormone. And this inhibin hormone is sending a signal to whom? To the anterior pituitary. That means even though hypothalamus is producing GnRH, we cannot control hypothalamus. We cannot control hypothalamus, but we can control GnRH. We can control anterior pituitary. Okay. So what will happen? Though GnRH is being produced, the anterior pituitary will not go ahead with making of FSH. Why? Because inhibin is suppressing the formation of FSH. Did you all understand? Got it? So this is the role of inhibin, to suppress the formation of FSH. In the same way, if this particular hormone is going to be produced in excess, right? You can see the arrows coming down. So if this particular hormone, what is the name of this hormone? Testosterone. If it's going to be produced in excess, even it will give a negative feedback to the anterior pituitary as well as the hypothalamus. You can see that this red line is going towards the hypothalamus as well. So the testosterone which is going to be produced in excess also will give a negative feedback to the anterior pituitary. Stop it. No more required. Stop my production. So what will happen? LH production will automatically get stopped. So the testosterone is going to control the formation of LHS as well as GnRH. So inhibin does not have an effect on GnRH, but who has got an effect on hypothalamus? The testosterone. So testosterone will give a negative feedback to the anterior pituitary, stop LH production. It will also give a negative feedback to the hypothalamus, stop GnRH production. तो अगर GnRH production ही बंद हो गया तो ना LH का बनने का हो जाएगा ना FSH का बनने का हो जाएगा. Nothing will happen. Got it? How beautifully this control system is. What's your doubt, beta? So until the inhibin and testosterone doesn't reach the anterior pituitary gland, it keep on producing FSH and LH. Perfectly understood. Very good, Bhumi. Very nice. Yes. So this is the way, that particular thing is going to be, like continuously controlled, right? Huh. Sertoli cells produce inhibin. Yes, inhibin has no other function other than negative feedback. Yes. So is excess formation of usual occurrence? No, it is not. It will be controlled immediately by the inhibin. Inhibin is there to take charge of it. Okay, got it? Have you all understood this diagram perfectly? Very important बच्चा. ये जो है ना, ये सिर्फ ना ब्ला 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 चीजें आपके बुक्स में लिखी हुई है, समझता कुछ नहीं है, पूरा बाउंसर चला जाएगा if you just read it for the sake of reading. You should understand it conceptually. Clear about it? I'll just repeat quickly one more time. Hypothalamus produces gonadotropin releasing hormone which will trigger the anterior pituitary to form two hormones. The first hormone is the follicle stimulating hormone, which will go and bind to the Sertoli cell receptors in the seminiferous tubules. The Sertoli cells will produce first something called as androgen binding proteins, second spermatogenic substances, third inhibin. Androgen binding proteins are responsible for concentration of testosterone, which is made by the Leydig cells. The Leydig cells will produce testosterone only when they are triggered by the luteinizing hormone या फिर interstitial cell stimulating hormone ICSH. Luteinizing hormone and ICSH are synonyms. कोई भी वर्ड यूज करो दोनों सेम ही मतलब है. Okay, then the testosterone would enter inside the seminiferous tubule, will cause the spermatogonia type A to undergo mitosis to produce two types of cells, spermatogonia type A, which is again continuously undergoing mitosis, and spermatogonia type B. The spermatogonia type B has started to grow and will be now called as primary spermatocytes. This will undergo first meiosis to form two secondary spermatocytes. Both the secondary spermatocytes will undergo meiosis too to form spermatids. The spermatids, again under the influence of testosterone itself, will undergo spermiogenesis, that is, will get converted into an active spermatozoa. Correct? But if this process is going on too much in excess, then there has to be a control over it. So the inhibin, which is going to be produced by the Sertoli cells, will give a negative feedback to the anterior pituitary and stop the production of FSH. Simultaneously, the testosterone, which is also produced in excess, will give a negative feedback to the anterior pituitary, saying, stop the LH production. Simultaneously, it will also give a signal to the hypothalamus, stop the GnRH production. Right? In this way, the mechanism will be brought under perfect control. Okay? What's your doubt? What will happen if the negative feedback mechanism fails to work? Then there is going to be over secretion of spermatogenesis. There will be more of spermatozoa formation unnecessarily. If the production of spermatogenesis is excessive, then inhibin will give the negative feedback to the anterior pituitary and excess formation of the testosterone gives to both. Yes, my dear, you're perfectly right, Divya. Perfectly right, beta. Very correct. Very correct. Okay. Anyone having any difficulty in this particular content, please do let me know. बताओ एक बार go through करो इसके और हाँ inhibin only for FSH. Yes, Vaishnavi, correct. Yes, 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 correct. Blood test is barrier, right? Oh my God. Uh, you have attended have you attended my cell cycle chapter? I can't read your name. The question is, why is the second meiotic division chromosome number doesn't halve? Have you attended the cell cycle chapter? When I taught cell cycle, were you there? It's okay. If you were not there or something, I can definitely help you out. But if you were there, you would remember that uh, during the reduction division, the 46 chromosomes were dyads. So they have moved into two cells, 23 dyads in one cell, 23 dyads in another cell. So there the chromosome number has reduced to half. And in meiosis too, 23 dyads will become 23 monads each. So the number 23 remains constant, right? Correct? Hmm. If testosterone gives negative feedback to hypothalamus, then inhibin does not need to give negative feedback. Actually, but the first one to go ahead is the inhibin. it's an emergency one. The first one who would go and give the signal is going to be the inhibin. Okay. Later on will be the testosterone. So both are going to be actively working. See, what is our body altogether? It's a machine. So anything wrong is going to happen, and that will be immediately taken care by each and everyone who is available. Okay. Yeah. So this is yes, yes. Only FSH पे कंट्रोल रहता है इनिबिन का, इसके ऊपर नहीं, हाइपोथैलेमस के ऊपर नहीं. So here they have said, see, under the control of high level of testosterone negatively feedback the GnRH from hypothalamus. So it can control the hypothalamus for making GnRH, right? Okay. Testosterone is secreted by the Leydig cell. It is essential for. Someone was asking me what is the role of testosterone. So this is it. It is essential for sperm production, development of secondary sexual characters, ABP secretion. It also gives a negative feedback to the hypothalamus, as well as it gives a negative feedback to the anterior pituitary in excess concentration to suppress GnRH, FSH, LH. Everything will be under the control of testosterone. It is secreted in the fetal stage. Now, this is something which is a very important point. It is secreted in the fetal age or fetal stage in as low as 30 nanograms per nanoliter of the plasma concentration, which is required for descendant of the testes in the last trimester of the intrauterine life. So do you remember I had told you all that the testes were first going to be made in the abdominal area, and then they will descend down into the scrotal sac. So for them to descend down into the scrotal sac, if this particular testosterone is not going to be present, it won't descend down. But कितना कम लगता है देखो, 30 nanogram per nanoliter. Okay. But अगर वो नहीं है, then the testes would not descend into the scrotum sac, and it might lead to a condition called as cryptorchidism, if you remember that word. है ना? Failure of the testes to descend into the scrotal sac is called as cryptorchidism, which we have already done, right? Yes. So that is the way it happens. Yeah. Now, during the last trimester, this is going to happen. Generally, it happens in the 7th month of the mother's pregnancy. So, if a male child is growing or a male fetus is growing in the womb of the mother, then during the mother's 7th month of pregnancy, the testes would descend down into the scrotal sac. Okay. So I guess these things are already simple and known to you all. So nothing like we have repeating. Okay. Then we come to the structure of the sperm actually. The spermatozoa has a head, a middle piece, and a tail. What is your doubt? The inhibin send a negative feedback to stop production of FSH. Yeah. Yes, my dear. Yes, you are right. ये है ना बेटा? The inhibin will give a negative feedback to the pituitary gland to stop FSH production. Testosterone does both. Testosterone is going to do both. It is going to stop the production of anterior pituitary के कोई वो बंद कर देगा तो ना FSH बनेगा ना LH बनेगा, as well as GnRH कोई बंद कर देगा. तो अगर GnRH नहीं बना तो anterior pituitary सोता रहेगा, उसका गुड मॉर्निंग होगा ही नहीं. ओके. हाँ. हाँ, correct. So it will not enter only. Yes, Risha. Very correct. Very correct, my dear. बिल्कुल correct answer. Got it? Got it? Yeah. Well, so now let's talk about the structure of the spermatozoa. So it's going to have a head, it's going to have a middle piece, it's going to have a tail. The head is covered by a cap, which is called as the acrosomic cap. Here you can see the presence of acrosome. You can see over here. See, this is the acrosome. Okay. Acrosome is a bag-like structure filled with lytic enzymes called as sperm lysines. Please, a humble request, do not forget this word sperm lysines, because in the third part of this chapter, that is during the fertilization event, uh, this word will be repeated. So if you forget sperm lysines now, you will not get correlated with the fertilization event that is going to take place in the third part of our chapter. ठीक है? So please remember, acrosome के अंदर क्या है बेटा? Acrosome के अंदर sperm lysines present है. Okay. Next is in the anterior part of the middle piece. Here you can see. You can see this anterior part. This is the middle piece. ये head है, ये जो पूरा है ना ये वाला, this is the middle piece, and ये जो पूरा है, this is the tail. Okay. So in the anterior part of the middle piece, anterior means ऊपर की तरफ, there is presence of a neck. The neck is narrow. It contains a proximal and distal centriole. तो देखो बेटा, ये है ना, ये यहाँ पर ये neck है. It has got two centrioles. One is proximal, one is distal. आगे के diagram में you will come to know where is proximal centriole and distal centriole. An axial filament begins just behind the centriole. Can you see? ये axial filament है. ये black color का जो filament आपको दिखाई दे रहा है, center से ऐसे pass हो रहा है एक thread. This entire black thread, can you see this? This is called as the axial filament. Okay, it passes through the middle piece and extends into the tail. So ये black color का thread जो यहाँ से start हो चुका है, यहाँ पर thick है, फिर यहाँ पर वो thin होता गया है, और ये देखो, it has surpassed the entire tail. Okay, so that is what is it's going to be called as. It's going to be called as the axial filament. At the point where the middle piece joins the tail, this axial filament passes through a ring-like structure called as annulus. Can you see this dark ring-like structure? तो ये middle piece का end हुआ और ये tail का beginning हो गया. So it's going to be the junction of the end of the middle piece and beginning of the tail. So this black color का strip-like thing is actually a ring-like thing, and this ring is called as annulus. आप वॉलीबॉल खेलते हो, देखा है आपने वॉलीबॉल खेलते हुए लोगों को, है ना? तो वॉलीबॉल में कैसी वो बास्केट रहती है ना, जिससे वो बॉल को पास होके नीचे आना होता है, समथिंग लाइक दैट. देयर इज गोइंग टू बी अ रिंग. ठीक है? The part of the axial filament which lies in the middle piece is surrounded by a spiral sheath made up of mitochondria. You can see this is going to be the mitochondria, and it's spirally arranged. We have already seen this in the last class. Okay. Here it is nothing to do with electron dense. Okay, here is going to be just a filament made up of microfilaments. So what is it? I'll tell you, of course. This area will be called as Nebenkern sheet. ये sheet को हम क्या कहते हैं? Nebenkern. तो अगर एग्जाम में Nebenkern ये word आता है, तो don't become lost. It is nothing but it is mitochondria. It was just found out by a scientist called as Nebenkern. Therefore, the name has been given as Nebenkern sheet. So what is this sheath? This sheath is of mitochondria, which is coiled around the axial filament. Okay, in the middle portion of the sperm. Okay, well, finally, the entire sperm is enclosed in a plasma membrane. So here you can see. Can you see this plasma membrane लिखा हुआ है यहाँ पर? It's continuous. See, it's continuous. This plasma membrane. So it's going to be continuous. The entire sperm will have the covering of plasma membrane. Is it okay? Got it? Fine. So don't forget about the Nebenkern word. I hope you have understood what I'm trying to tell you. Any difficulty in this? These points which I have mentioned? Look at this. That's why I told you. Yeah. Here you can see this is going to be the Golgi apparatus which forms the acrosome cap. We have already seen the formation of the acrosome cap. If you recollect in the last class, that the Golgi vesicles would be many in numbers. Only a few will develop certain granules. Those which do not develop granules will get dissolved in the cytoplasm, and those small granular Golgi vesicles will combine together to form one large structure. We have done this now, correct? So the same thing which makes up the acrosome, Golgi rest. Very good. Yes, my dear. Very good. Right? Then look at this. There is going to be a nucleus over here. This is the nucleus. You can see over here. Nucleus which forms the head. Then you have got this. Look at this. Look at this. These are going to be the mitochondria, which are going to be spirally arranged. That is your Nebenkern sheath. So mitochondria forms the sheath of the middle piece. Then you can see proximal centrioles come to lie in the neck region. Here, this is the proximal centriole. And look at this one, this ring or the annulus that I was talking about, my dears. See, distal centriole becomes ring shape and forms the annulus. So now you know what is annulus. So proximal centriole lies in the neck. Distal centriole will lie at the junction of the end of the middle piece and beginning of the tail. It will form a ring, which will be called as annulus. Axial filament grows out from the centriole. It is present in the middle piece as well as the tail. So from here you can see this axial filament is growing. It is passing through this annulus. It is coming down and is going to extend throughout the tail. Did you all understand this? Any doubts, any difficulties in this? Any difficulty in this? Tell me, tell me, tell me, tell me. Quickly go through this and tell me if there is any difficulty. This is the TS, this is the VS. Mitochondria is in the yes, in the cytoplasm. Yes, beta. Yes, beta. Bilkul correct. Huh. Principal piece is going to be the tail. Correct. Right. Or koi doubt? Neck is part of the middle piece. Yes. A joining part, not a part of middle piece. It's a joining, connecting part of the head with the middle piece. Joining part. Okay. Yeah. What you want? Size of the spermatozoa is see, it's approximately the head is going to be 5 miometers. The middle piece will be 3 to 3.2 miometers, and the tail could be as long as 50 miometers. So 55 plus 3, so around 58 to 60 miometers long. Miometers. Okay. This is the LS. This is the TS. This is the LS. TS matlab transverse section. LS matlab longitudinal section. You remember this word sperm lysine that I told you to remember? That sperm lysine will contain this hyaluronidase enzyme. Okay? Hyaluronidase will be found in the sperm lysine. Yes, mitochondria for providing energy because it has to actively swim and it has to reach the egg. Na? So, got this? Perfectly okay? Good. Yeah, these are the some facts which you should know because many students get confused with these terminologies. So specifically, I've mentioned this, you will not get any of these things in your textbooks. In human sperm, the formation of the sperms will be completed in approximately 74 days. In one ejaculation, approximately 4 ml of the semen will have around 400 million spermatozoa. If sperm count is less, we call it as oligospermia. If there are dead sperms, means non-motile, non-viable, we call it as necrospermia. Then if there are no sperms being formed at all, it's called as azoospermia, which we have done actually. Now these three terms are very important, my dears. Liberation of the sperms from the Sertoli cells is called as spermiation. Hmm? Liberation of sperms from the testes to reach the epididymis, right, is called as semination, not insemination. Huh? Semination. Liberation of the sperms from the body of a male will be called as ejaculation. And mammalian sperms, when transferred to the vagina of the female, that process will be called as insemination. So semination, spermiation, insemination, इसमें बहुत confusion होता है बच्चों का. Okay, fine. So be careful with the terms. Yeah. Annulus is called as distal centriole, and below the annulus is called as axial filament. Axial filament is continuous, beta. It's going to begin from the proximal centriole. It's going to pass through the mitochondria, through the annulus to get continued into the tail. It's a continuous thread. Okay. If they do not get nourishment, if they are not going to get the proper, pH, they may die. What is the function of annulus? Function of annulus is basically to keep, the axial filament orientation perfect. Okay. Spermiation is conversion of spermatid into sperms. That process is called as spermiation. Fine. Okay. Anything else? Anything else? Anything else? Anyone confused with any of the conceptual facts that we have studied till now? Because here we complete the male reproductive system. This is the end of studying the male reproductive system. Now I'm going to move ahead with the female reproductive system immediately. It's done in the laboratory, beta. It's done in the laboratory to know the actual count. Semination and ejaculation. Ejaculation is throwing the sperm out of the body of the male, and semination is from testes to the epididymis. So from the testes, it will reach the retitestes. From the seminiferous tubules, it will reach the retitestes to vasa efferentia, and vasa efferentia to epididymis. Right? So it is now coming out of the testes into the epididymis. That is called as semination. First point, for the complete formation of the spermatozoa from the spermatogonal type A cell to the spermatozoa, it takes 74 days. Okay. Yeah. Sertoli cells are going to phagocyte the dead cells. Yes. Correct. Okay. So can I move ahead with the female reproductive system? Well, thank you, Peter. So we can go ahead with the female reproductive system. So our first, this is completed. Part of human reproduction is completed. We go ahead with the second one. Am I not getting your chat box? Is spermiogenesis the cytoplasm of the spermatid continuously flows towards the posterior side, down, nature. No other have insemination. It is there. It is going to be by different methods. So it's going to be via water. It's going to be via certain agents. You know? There are many agents which are involved. Abiological agents. Which hormones? LH and FSH? Yes, they are going to be a part of our menstrual cycle as well. Yes, my dears. Yes, my dears. So now we come to the female reproductive system. Okay, so here very well, please pay attention to whatever I'm trying to tell you all, because this diagram is the master diagram. This diagram is the key diagram. Okay, this diagram is something. I'll stop the sharing and I'll start it again. I'm having some issues with it. Yeah. Okay. Well, now this diagram is going to be the diagram which is going to be most important, because all the, you know, post fertilization events also is associated with this diagram. मतलब ये जो डायग्राम है ये सिर्फ आज के लिए या कल के लिए या अगले लेक्चर के लिए काम के लिए नहीं आएगा बेटा. Till the chapter is going to end, and there is one more chapter called as reproductive health. It's next chapter. All these chapters are based on this diagram. So once you understand this diagram, you will be mastering all these subtopics. So please get to know this diagram very perfectly. Okay? Yeah. I begin with this particular content, that is from here. First, I'll just talk about the labels. As and when required, I'll come back to this diagram and I'll correlate the things. This side, this half of the diagram is, cut into half and shown to expose the internal part of the system, while this right portion is intact. तो इंटैक्ट ऐसे दिखता है, और जब हम इसको कट करेंगे अंदर का सब कुछ देखने के लिए, समझने के लिए, तो ये ऐसे दिखेगा बेटा. समझ में आया? So this is the, otherwise ये पूरा closed रहता है and it will look like this from both the sides. But this half is to show how it is when it is intact, and this half is to show how it is internal. Okay? So I go with the first one, that is going to be from here. This is going to be the ovary. The ovary is going to have ovarian cortex and ovarian medulla. Ovarian cortex means the peripheral region of the ovary. Medulla would be the central area of the ovary. So the ovary is broadly classified into two parts. Which two parts? Cortex and medulla. Okay? Inside these you can see various developing follicles. These are developing follicles. अलग-अलग stages है maturity के, जो ऐसे दिख रहे हैं आपको. Right? Here you can see something which is popping out. Can you see a small part which is coming out? This small part which is coming out is going to be called as secondary oocyte. What we call it as? Secondary oocyte. What is it? I'll explain later on. Now, you can see over here, these are finger-like projections. ये ऐसे finger के जैसा दिख रहा है आपको? Very clearly you can see this finger-like projections. These finger-like projections are going to be called as the fimbriae. What is it going to be called as? Fimbriae. And this portion, यहाँ तक, तो ये finger-like projection से लेकर यहाँ तक का जो portion है, we call this portion as infundibulum. We call this as infundibulum. The extension of infundibulum up till this region will be called as ampulla. What we call it as? Ampulla. Beyond the ampulla, there is this region which is touching this particular area, which will be called as isthmus. And उसी ट्यूब का extension जो है, जो ये part के अंदर चला गया है, will be called as intramural region. So intramural region is actually embedded inside this entire body of uterus. Okay? तो ये देखो बेटा, infundibulum plus ampulla plus isthmus plus intramural region, सबको मिलाकर हम इसको कहते हैं fallopian tube या uterine tube. So fallopian tube is made up of how many parts? 4 parts. Which are the 4 parts? Infundibulum, which is near to the ovary, which is proximal to the ovary. Ampulla. Ampulla is the region where fertilization takes place. So the fusion of the male and the female gamete will only be successful if it is taking place in the ampulla. अगर ये fertilization कहीं इधर 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 हो जाता है ना, तो वो fertilization कुछ काम का नहीं है. That female will never conceive then. So for the female to conceive, for the female to become a mother, for the female to have her child, the fertilization should take place in this zone only. What is the zone in which fertilization occurs? Ampulla. इसका मतलब समझो बेटा, वो जो spermatozoa है उसको कितना swimming करना पड़ रहा है. The sperms have to travel so long an area and reach this ampulla for fertilization. तो ये जो secondary oocyte है ना, it will enter inside this particular finger-like projection of the infundibulum. Okay, and then it will travel. It will travel to reach the ampulla and it will wait. It will wait for the fertilization to occur. अब ये जो है ना secondary oocyte जो है ना बेटा, non motile है, वो move नहीं कर सकती खुद के खुद. तो ये जो इंटीरियर पार्ट ऑफ द फेलोपियन ट्यूब है विल हैव न्यूमरस सीलिया. सीलिया है ना, ब्रूम का एक्शन करती है. ब्रूम ब्रूम समझते हो, झाड़ू मारने का. तो वो ऐसे ना उसको आगे आगे लेके जाती रहती है सेकेंडरी oocyte को. कौन? सीलिया. वेयर आर द सीलिया प्रेजेंट? द लाइनिंग ऑफ दिस एंटायर फेलोपियन ट्यूब विल बी हैविंग सीलिया. ओके. हाउ डज द फर्टिलाइजेशन हैपन इन एम्प्यूला? एम्प्यूला में सेकेंडरी oocyte आने का टाइम और स्पर्म्स उधर पहुंचने का टाइम अगर एक होगा तो ही एम्प्यूला में होगा, अदरवाइज नहीं होगा. Yeah, when it is formed, it will be reaching. Yeah, once it is formed, it will be reaching the uterus. Correct. Yes, it will travel. It will travel further. Correct. Yeah, it's like a brush. Is fimbriae part of the fallopian tube? Yes, fimbriae are also a part of the fallopian tube. Yes. Then what is the doubt? Why so many parts of the tube? Each one has got its own specific function. So, what do the cilia do? Cilia do the action of brooming. That is, it will, sweep the, it will sweep the non-motile secondary oocyte into the fallopian tube. If the sperm does not fertilize the ampulla, then where would it further go? It will be lost during the menstrual cycle. It does not travel and some destruction, then what will happen? It does not travel, then there is something called as PCODs. Have you all heard about this PCODs? पता है? It is going to be a disorder. Phylum tube is also called as oviduct. Yes, it's also called as oviduct. Correct. Cilia are like brushes. Yes, correct. What if the fertilization occurs in the infundibulum? It's going to be called as ectopic pregnancy. That is not going to be surviving. It won't survive. That particular morula won't survive. It will get removed by the ciliary action only. हाँ, PCODs is correct, beta. Yes, Siddhika, you're right. PCODs is polycystic ovaries. Yes. Okay. So this needs to be swept away. तो इसका cilia जो है इसको sweeping करता रहेगा, grooming करता रहेगा. All inside the fallopian tube. Yes. All over the surface of the internal side of the fallopian tube. Yes. Correct. Okay. So my dears, boys, now you know why girls are complicated. Look at it. Okay, yeah. If fertilization occurs in ampulla, how does birth take place through the uterus? I'll tell you. That is going to be a part of fertilization. Some infections would also happen. Yeah. It might happen. It's not. Polycystic ovarian disease. It's called as polycystic ovarian disease. It's also called as a PCOS, that is polycystic ovaries, ovarian disorders. Okay, it's seen in some female. It's not harmful. It's not very harmful. Don't worry. Even if someone is having, it's not that harmful. Only one or two sperms reach till here. No, there would be many who would reach till here. Many, several in the ampulla. This region. You can see this ampullary region from year to year. Fertilization should take place only between this region. Only then fertilization is going to be successful. Okay. How does the oocyte stop near the ampulla? It doesn't stop. It is sweeping. बीच में ही आके इसको धड़क जाएगा और फर्टिलाइजेशन करेगा. उसके आगे भी वो रोल हो रहा है. उसके आगे भी वो स्वीपिंग होने ही वाला है जाइगोट का. How does sterility occur in females? Many reasons. Many reasons. Yeah, it seems to be foolproof, but there are many reasons that are hormonal reasons specifically. Yeah, there is a race between the spermatozoa who has to win. Correct. If the fertilization takes place in the isthmus or intermural space, what will happen to the zygote? That is called as ectopic pregnancy, beta. It needs to be, if you cannot go ahead with that, it needs to be operated immediately. It's very painful. It cannot, that female will be experiencing a lot of pain. So it has to be undergoing immediate abortions for ectopic pregnancy. It happens. It's a common thing. What is Turner syndrome? Turner syndrome will come in genetics, but that is associated with chromosomes, not associated with this as of now. Of course, they will not have Turner syndrome. Females will not have ovaries development at all. Okay. So this particular ovary का जो मैंने यहाँ पर diagram बनाया है ना, it won't be there in this, but it is a disorder because of chromosomal defect. Okay. By some harm near uterus, the child can. Yeah. There are many miscarriages because of any reasons. Many reasons are there. Okay. So what are the few things that you have to remember? That the area of the fallopian tube which is near to the ovary will be called as infundibulum, which will have finger-like projections called as fimbriae. Beyond the infundibulum lies the ampullary region where the fertilization will take place. Beyond the ampulla lies the isthmus and the intramural region. All four parts make up the fallopian tube, also called as uterine tube, also called as oviduct. Many names. Fine. Now, what will happen over here? What is this? So you can see this, triangular type of a structure, right? This is the one which is actually the uterus. तो ये पूरा का पूरा uterus है यहाँ तक पूरा ये. ओके ऐसा जो एक पूरा कॉनिकल स्ट्रक्चर दिख रहा है ना, इट्स गोइंग टू बी द यूट्रस. दिस पार्ट of the uterus is going to form the fundus. This part is going to be called as the fundus. The internal structure यहाँ पर आपको दिखाई दे रहा है, hollow cavity दिखाई दे रही है बेटा, अंदर से ये पूरा hollow होता है, cavity होती है, that is called as body of uterus. Got it? Look at this particular section now. This the posterior most part of the uterus is going to be called as cervix. Here you can see जहाँ मेरा कर्सर अभी अभी यहाँ पर प्लेस्ड है, आपको मेरा दिखाई दे रहा है, जहाँ पर मेरा पॉइंटर प्लेस्ड है, this point will be called as internal os. आगे दिया है मैंने, डोंट वरी, मैं फिलहाल आपको दिखा रही हूँ. तो जब मैं कंटेंट पढ़ाऊंगी तो आपको it will be easy for you all to correlate. So this point where this point where my pointer is moving right now is going to be called as internal os, while this point where my cursor is moving now will be called as external os. ठीक है, तो internal os and external os समझा किधर है? तो internal os is near the body cavity of the uterus. External os is just 1 minute beta. I'm in lecture. External os is something, external os you can see over here, which is something which is closer to the vagina. So here you can see this is going to be the vagina. So the external os communicates with the vagina and the cervix, while the internal os communicates with the body of uterus and the cervix. तो cervix is a tube. ये पूरी एक ट्यूब है, आपको दिखाई दे रही है ये ट्यूब, है ना? ये पूरी ट्यूब है. तो ये ट्यूब का जो यूट्रस की तरफ वाला एरिया है दैट विल बी कॉल्ड एज इंटरनल ऑस, और ये ट्यूब का वजाइना की तरफ जो एरिया है दैट विल बी कॉल्ड एज एक्सटर्नल ऑस. ठीक है, सिंपल नाउ. Then let's come to this particular word, that is, can you see this? Endometrium. Endometrium means the innermost wall of the uterus is going to be called as endometrium. Okay, endometrium पे ही आगे जाके मॉर्यूला स्टिक हो जाता है. ठीक है, एंडोमेट्रियम पूरा अंदर से इधर से पूरा इंटरनल कवरिंग इसका एंडोमेट्रियम से है बेटा. ठीक है, myometrium is the outermost layer, middle layer, in fact it is the middle layer which is made up of muscles, so it is called as myometrium and not mesometrium. Myo stands for muscles, so this myometrium is going to be made up of muscles. So during the childbirth the myometrium के जो muscles है ना, they will contract and expand for the expulsion of the fetus or the baby. So this is going to be having strong muscles which are going to be made up of which is going to be called as myometrium. And outside you will be having so outside layer is going to be your outside the endometrium is going to be your myometrium. So this is the left side ka diagram that we have completed. Where is the placenta formed? It will take, wait, I'll tell you where it's going to be formed. It's going to be formed into the endometrium wala area, this cavity. ये पूरी cavity में baby मस्त swimming करता रहता है, ये जो पूरा cavity है ना उसमें. ठीक है, well, is it the endometrium that sheds during the menstrual cycle? Yes. Yes. The endometrium thickness will go on increasing and it's going to become like a cushion. It becomes thick like a cushion. It waits for the fertilization to take place so that it can nourish the developing embryo. But if fertilization does not take place, ये जो इतना thick cushion बनाया है ना, वो पूरा scrape off करना पड़ता है. That is called as menstrual cycle का bleeding phase, which is also called as a weeping phase. Why the uterus weeps? Because पूरी मेहनत बेकार हो गई. यूट्रस ने पूरी मेहनत ली थी उसके लेयर को, एंडोमेट्रियम को थिक बनाने की, ताकि अगर फर्टिलाइजेशन होता है और इम्प्लांटेशन होता है और अगर फीटल डेवलपमेंट स्टार्ट होता है तो उसके लिए वो पूरी तैयारी करके रखी थी. But because fertilization did not take place, it started weeping because it's going to be scraped off. पूरी मेहनत जो है वो बेकार की हो गई. Okay, so it's the endometrium wall that is going to be growing internally to form thick wall. Right? Of course, when I tell you all talk about the menstrual cycle in detail, that time you will come to know who makes this wall, how is it formed, how is it scraped, where does it go, everything will be told in detail. Okay. Body of the uterus, yeah, it is the womb only. Body of the uterus is womb. Yes, my dear. In fact, the entire uterus is womb, but specifically body of the uterus is womb. Correct. Yes, yes. Yeah. After 24 hours, yeah, urinary bladder is above the fundus. Yes. Then what is your next doubt? After 24 hours, and yeah. Yes. Where does the morula enter? I'll tell you. I'll tell you where will it enter, where it gets implanted, everything. I'll tell you in the third part. This is the second part that is going on. Yes. I'll tell you where is the placenta is going to be formed, my dear. I'll tell you everything. I'll tell you everything, but that placenta formation, implantation, morula formation, everything is going to be the third part, because first we have to understand the female reproductive structures, only then the system could be understood. Okay. Yes. Fine. तो ये structures समझ में आए हैं अभी तक. First we have to know how the egg is formed बेटा. पहले एग कैसे बनता है वो पूरी कहानी समझ में आनी चाहिए. उसके बाद उसका फर्टिलाइजेशन, उसके बाद उसका जाइगोट फॉर्मेशन, उसके बाद मोरुला फॉर्मेशन, उसके बाद इम्प्लांटेशन, उसके बाद प्लेसेंटा फॉर्मेशन, उसके बाद डेवलपमेंट ऑफ द फीटस. सो इट्स अ लॉन्ग स्टोरी. Yeah, endometrium is formed under the effect of, yes, correct, Western. Yes, right, my dear. Okay, so hope you all have understood the diagram ka first half of it. Look at the second half. Here you can see ligament of the ovary. So you can see this is the ligament by which it is actually attached to the body of the uterus. Can you see this? Ye wala. That is the ligament. This is the suspensory ligament. यहाँ पीछे से उसका वो कैसे पीछे से join होता है कहाँ पर, I'll tell you all later on. This is the fimbriae, which you already know, the finger-like things which I had already explained over here. Now look at this. This is called as the mesovarium. This part यहाँ पर black वाला जो दिखाई दे रहा है, black and white वाला ये part, this is called as mesovarium. This is called as mesosalpinx, and these two, mesovarium, mesosalpinx, along with mesometrium here, ये तीनों flaps जो है ना, these are flaps. These are just skin के folds. Which three skin folds? Mesovarium, mesosalpinx, and mesometrium. All three will be called as broad ligament of uterus. So what are the three things that will be coming under broad ligament of uterus? First is mesovarium, second is mesosalpinx, and third is mesometrium. So if you look at it, the fallopian tube gets attached with the ovarian wall with the help of what? See, ये जो है ये पूरा का पूरा enclosed है इधर, ये देखो with the help of what? Mesosalpinx, है ना? And mesosalpinx का end is going to be your mesovarium attached to the ovarian wall. And look at this mesometrium. Can you see this? ये वाला पतला सा flap है. This mesometrium is causing the entire system to get connected with the uterus. So all these things are connected to each other. No one is hanging. Everyone is connected. ठीक है? This part you can see, ये वाला एक tube-like structure आपको दिखाई दे रहा है बेटा. This is going to be called as round ligament of uterus. Fine. And this is going to be your uterosacral ligament, which is in 12th standard. It's not required to know the function of uterosacral. It will be there in your MBBS first year, for sure. And this is of course the vagina. So in this way, the entire female reproductive structure has been explained over here. Any difficulty in understanding any point? Broad ligament का function क्या है? Suspensory ligament का function क्या है? Ligament of ovary का function क्या है? सब आगे बताऊंगी मैं. This entire thing is the uterus. ये जो conical part है ना, ये पूरा का पूरा entirely, जिधर मेरा अभी ये घूम रहा है, cursor घूम रहा है, this entire is going to be the uterus. Okay. Does the endometrium shed after the egg dies? Yes, my dear. It's going to be shed off. That is what is called as the menstrual cycle. Okay. Well, we'll come back to this diagram again and again. Of course, female reproduction is in the abdominal cavity. I'll tell you. Yeah, it's in the below, little bit, in the rear end, posterior end of the abdominal cavity. Yes. Well, this is a diagrammatic representation. That was the original one, that diagram. Female reproductive system. Later on, it's not required for your 12th standard. So right now, don't worry. A pair of ovaries is the main or primary sex organ of the female reproductive system. Both ovaries are located in the abdominal cavity in the ovarian fossa. Fossa means gap. Okay. There's going to be a gap. There's going to be a cavity where these are going to be placed. Each ovary is attached to the posterior layer of the broad ligament with the help of mesovarium. So just now I showed you where is mesovarium. So each ovary is attached to the posterior layer of the broad ligament with the help of mesovarium. So just now I showed you that black color ka thing, which was mesovarium, right? It is a short fold of peritoneum and it is the root of vessels and nerves to the ovary. So from where will the blood vessels and the nerves reach the ovary? It's going to be through this apna broad ligament. है ना? So you could even see those capillary network. Could you? Which broad ligament? This entirely is going to be called as the broad ligament. Entirely. So ये यहाँ से पूरा का पूरा इधर तक पूरा ये जो है ना, this is the broad ligament. The broad ligament is enclosing the fallopian tube. It is also, carrying the or keeping the ovaries intact, and it is also connecting the body of the uterus. This entire, see, look over here, broad ligament of the uterus. So it's made up of mesovarium, mesosalpinx, and mesometrium. So you can see this is the mesovarium over here. And you can see this blackish brownish things. That is nothing but the arteries and the veins का entry. Okay? जहाँ से वो enter कर रहे ovaries में. ये वाला zone. ठीक है? Got it? ये diagram में clear है. वो वाला जो diagram है, this diagram is a drawn diagram. Okay, it is a short fold of peritoneum. Peritoneum is the outermost layer of the ovary. So we have seen endometrium, myometrium, peritoneum. Okay. Yeah. So here also in this diagram they have shown this. This is the fundus. This is the fallopian tube, uterine cavity, the endometrium, the myometrium. This is going to be the vagina. This is going to be the cervix, internal os, external os, uterus entire one. So egg is there in the ampullary region. As of now, that is what they have shown. ठीक है? Well, a tubule is situated near the ovary. It is also attached to the broad ligament. This tubule is called as oviduct or fallopian tube. Oviduct develops from the Mullerian duct of the embryo. Do you remember this Mullerian duct? There was something else also which was being formed by the Mullerian duct in the embryonic stage in males. Do you recollect? Very nice. Very nice. Yes, right answer, Vaishnavi. Very good, very good, very good, very good. Yes, correct, correct, correct. Right, my dear. Who's this? Was given the right answer. Palak. Ah, correct. Correct. Siddhika, very nice, my dear. Perfect answer. Correct answer, Niharika. Very nice. Yes. So it will be the seminal vesicle, right? Which was developed from the Mullerian duct. Here, the fallopian tubes are going to be produced from the Mullerian duct of the embryo. Fine. In mammals, this oviduct is differentiated into two parts. It's proximal, the one which is towards the ovary and narrow, and thin part is called as infundibulum, which I have already shown you. It is fimbriated, it has got fimbriae, and the terminal end bears a aperture called as abdominal ostium, which opens into the peritoneal cavity. So I haven't shown you the abdominal ostium. I'll show you where is it's at the end of the intramural region. The end of the intramural region, this one. Can you see this? Here. Okay, this is going to be your ostium. Ostium means opening, okay, which opens into the peritoneal cavity. The part medial to the infundibulum is going to be the ampulla. It is thin-walled, dilated part of the tube. Fertilization takes place inside the ampulla. The part medial to ampulla is called as isthmus. The most medial part of this tube situated in the uterus is called as intramural or interstitial part of the tube. During ovulation, the eggs are released in the peritoneal cavity. Due to this, it is called as coelomic egg. So, what do you mean by coelomic? Coelomic means the egg which is going to have a cavity? No. The egg which is going to pass through a cavity. Coelom ka matlab, it's pronounced as coelom. Huh? कोइलोमिक नहीं बोलते उसको. हाउ डू वी प्रोनाउंस इट? सीलोमिक. Coelom का मतलब होता है cavity. So because the egg is going to pass through this peritoneal cavity, our egg is called as coelomic egg. Fine. So since I had already explained the diagram to you all, I think this particular slide would be very easy for you all to understand. Still any difficulty, any doubts in this? Understood the last point, huh? Abdominal ostium is something, this बच्चा, ये देखो, ये जो ओपनिंग है ना, यहाँ से जो ये स्लाइड के ऊपर से जैसे आप नीचे आते हो वैसे ही ये जो है एग जो है यहाँ से नीचे गिर जाएगा ना, ये कैविटी को हम कहते हैं एब्डोमिनल ऑस्टियम. करेक्ट. The external os is towards the vagina, the internal os is towards the uterus का body. Got it? Oviduct or fallopian tube or the uterine tube, different names. OS, it will come, it will come on this slide. See, now you will come to know the spelling. See, oviduct, the upper extended part is called as the body or the fundus. Okay, the lower cylindrical part is called as the cervix. Upper part of uterus forms the body while the lower part forms the cervix. You already know where is the fundus. You already know where is the cervix, right? On the internal surface of the cervix, two types of constructions are found, which are going to be in the form of os cervix. The body of the uterus communicates with the cervix through an opening called as internal os, right? And the cervix communicates with the vagina through an opening called as external os. So I have already shown you the position of the internal os and external os. The uterus opens into a fibromuscular and non-glandular tube-like organ called as the vagina. Now, this is something which needs to be noted down, that it is fibromuscular, but it is non-glandular. It does not have any glands. It itself cannot secrete anything. Okay? So it's a non-glandular organ which is called as vagina, which is also called as copulatory organ. Simple with this. This is also understood now. Since I've already explained where is internal os and external os and who communicates with who. Any confusion, any difficulty? Come on, tell me. We will have, but not in the vaginal region. We'll have in some other region. Just see. Okay? Yeah. So this is a very beautiful diagram where it shows fimbriae and the oviduct. See how beautifully they have shown. Then we come across with the most important part of the female genital tract, that is going to be called as the vulva. So vulva means external genitalia of the female. We have completed with the internal part. Now we are coming to the external one. Well, they include mons pubis, also called as mons veneris, labia majora, labia minora, clitoris, vestibule, and related perineum. Perineum means coverings. Perineum का मतलब होता है coverings. हाँ. The oviduct is the fallopian. It's that entire fallopian tube connected with the fundus ending in a cervix along with the uterus. Everything. It's a duct, na. It's a hollow cavity from everywhere. It's going to be like together. Okay. Yeah. So here we come across something that is going to be called as the mons veneris, also called as mons pubis. Fine. Mons veneris or mons pubis, your books are calling it as mons pubis. Some books call it as mons veneris, and in the examination also, na, sometimes instead of pubis, they give the word veneris. Okay? It is a pad of subcutaneous connective tissue lying in front of the pubis, and it is covered by pubic hair in adult female. So this particular area is going to be the most external part of the vulva, which is going to be nothing but it's just a subcutaneous. Subcutaneous means below the skin, there is going to be a layer or a pad of connective tissue. This connective tissue layer will also have, areas for the development of the hair. That is called as the pubic hair, right? So it's going to be forming the mons. We call them as mons. Then comes the labia majora. So here in this diagram, you can see this is the mons pubis. See, there's going to be the formation of fine hair over it. This is going to be your connective tissue. It's going to be a pad of connective tissue, means it's going to be, like a lump of tissue present over here. Okay. Then you can see over here, this is going to be the labia majora. So these are the folds. You can see these are the folds of the skin. So it is nothing, but it is bounded. The vulva is bounded on each side by an elevation and folds of skin and subcutaneous tissue. So even this is going to be your subcutaneous tissue only. Subcutaneous tissue means the tissue below the skin. Sub means below. Cutine means skin. So below the skin, there's going to be again the connective tissue, which is going to form an elevated part, which will be called as labia majora. Fine. You are very well, you can see the labia majora in this particular diagram. Correct? Its inner surface is going to be hairless. Outer surface is covered by sebaceous glands. See, even in females, there's going to be sebaceous gland just like the males, right? Sweat glands, hair follicles are also going to be present along with the sebaceous glands. It is homologous with the scrotum in the male. Homologous means functionally it's going to be similar. That means what is the function of scrotal sac? Protection. So what will be the function of labia majora? Protection. Got it? Fine. Third comes labia minora. Here you can see labia minora. These are thin flap-like structures which can be very well seen. See, these are the thin flap-like structures, right? This is going to be called as labia minora. Labia minora, they are two thin folds of the skin present just within the labia majora. So outer side would be the labia majora, the elevated one. Just inside them, there's going to be, these thin flaps. And this thin flaps of, labia minora can be very well seen in this diagram also. Yes, yes, exactly, exactly. You know? Lower portion of the minora fuses across the midline to form a structure called as foreshet. So see over here, this is going to be the, the labia minora from the left side. This is the labia minora from the right side, which come and fuse together at this point. This point is called as foreshet. Do not forget this word. Huh? This is important. Foreshet is going to be nothing, but it is just the, fusion of labia minora, not labia majora. It's labia minora which fuse together in the posterior side. एंटीरियर साइड में भी कुछ है, वो क्या है वो मैं आगे बताती हूँ, बट पोस्टीरियर साइड का जो फ्यूजन है, उस फ्यूजन वाले एरिया को हम कहते हैं फोरशेट. इज इट फाइन? सो व्हाट इज मॉन्स pubis, labia majora, labia minora, up till the foreshet. Have you all understood? Any difficulty in understanding any point put up on the slide just now? Tell me, beta. बताओ बताओ, कोई है डिफिकल्टी तो बोलो प्लीज. Functionally similar. Both are going to be helping in protection. Okay, that means homologous. Same function, different structure, same function. Okay. Anyone else, or can I move ahead? Okay. I hope you all have understood, and I move ahead then. Yeah. Now here, they have not shown this as labeled as portion, but here you can see there is something called as clitoris which has been labeled. Huh. What is your doubt, beta? Why does the vulva have so many structures? What are their functions? Everyone has got each and every type of function. That is also for lubrication. That is also for throwing out the unwanted secretions. The sweat glands will throw away. Okay, it's going to be densely present in that area because there are many lymph nodes over there. और जहाँ जहाँ lymph nodes होते हैं ना वहाँ वहाँ sweat glands होते ही है. Exactly. Yes, Bhumi, you're perfectly right. You're perfectly right with your answer. Yes, the stitches are yes. Perfectly right, my dear. This is the area labia minora one, which is going to get, uh, you know, distracted during the childbirth. So here it needs to be, you know, put the stitches, as we say. Correct, correct. Well, so what exactly is this anterior portion of these minoras? The posterior portion, so you all came to know it is going to be the foreshead. The anterior portion, what it is going to happen over there. So let us see about that. That's going to be the point where they have marked as clitoris. So let us see that. That's going to be the clitoris. Here they have shown the diagram very clearly. Small, cylindrical, and erectile body made by the fusion of two labia minora is situated in the most anterior part of the vulva. So what is this, my dears? This is nothing. It is going to be the erectile tissue. The erectile tissue, which is going to be covered by this fusion of these labia minora. Okay, so here there is going to be the erectile tissue covered by the labia minora. They make up the clitoris. Okay, so just the way the erectile tissues we have already studied in the we have seen the penile erectile tissues, right? In the same way here also in the clitoris there is going to be the erectile tissue. Okay, clitoris is homologous to the penis in the male because even it is going to have the erectile tissue. It is also made up of two erectile bodies, corpora cavernosa. There was corpora spongiosum and extra layer present in the penile region. The skin which covers the glans clitoris is called as prepuce. There also it was called as prepuce only, if you do remember, if you recollect that. Prepuce and glans, but it was glans penis, here it is glans clitoris, right? At the terminal part of the vagina, the urethra opens separately. You can see this urethral opening. This is the urethral opening, beta. Okay, so here the urethra opens as a separate pore. In males, the same passage for the urine as well as for the sperms was the urethra. But in females, we have got two different pores. This pore is going to be the urethral pore. That is, the urine will be discharged through this particular pore. Okay. So they form a common chamber called as vaginal vestibule or urinogenital sinus. So see this now, this tube-like structure, this internal. So this is going to be labia majora, labia minora, and this internal thing that you can see, this internal thing with two cavities. One is a small pore and one is a large cavity. So these all together are held inside the same flap. This flap will be called as the vestibule, vaginal vestibule. Okay, vagina opens outside through a slit like aperture. So see, this entire is going to be the vagina. ये जो पूरा slit like aperture है, ये slit like aperture will be called as the vagina, right? Slit like aperture or triangular space called as the vestibule. So here this triangular space is going to be called as the vestibule. The vulva has following openings. Urethral opening, here you can see, lies in the anterior end. Vaginal orifice or vaginal opening lies in the posterior end. Of whom? Of the vestibule. So this entire unit will be called as the vestibule. Okay. It is incompletely closed by a septum. What? Who is incompletely closed? The vaginal orifice. Okay. Or the we can say the vestibule. Okay, it is incompletely closed by a septum of mucous membrane called as hymen. It's mucous membrane. It's not muscle. It's not a muscular membrane. It's a mucous membrane. You know what is mucus? So this will be having a covering on it. एक फाइन पतला सा कवरिंग होता है which will be called as the hymen, but it may not be a true sign of virginity. Initially it was believed that uh, this particular presence of hymen means the hymen is intact. That means the female is a virgin, is what it was thought earlier, right? That means she has not tore apart the hymen. But nowadays, na beta, hymen is broken by all our normal activities also: cycling, swimming, running, boarding a train, okay? Any extra strenuous activity that we do, we are ought to break the hymen. So nowadays there is nothing like that way that this mucus covering nahi hai, so it's nothing to do with virginity. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. Nowadays this is not believed. Earlier it was a different story. Now people know. Yeah. They do females also? No, not required. Circumcision not required in females. Yeah. Do people? Yeah, some people are born without the hymen. Yes, correct. See, circumcision in the sense, some people believe in crushing the clitoris. Some people, some religions, they believe in crushing this clitoris. At the time of birth, only as soon as a girl child is born, some, crush this clitoris. Okay. Otherwise, there is nothing. Yeah, it is painful. It doesn't sound, it is painful. It is very painful, of course. Uh, some ethics are there behind every, like individual, or, they believe in something. So it's very painful, of course. It's very, very painful that baby newborn girl child is just born. It's erectile tissue, na? So they don't want her feelings to, when she will grow up. So she has to marry the one person whom they decide and whatever. There was some ethics initially. Okay. Nothing, nothing, like even if it's there, nothing is going to happen. Yeah, that's very orthodox. Yes, it's an orthodox way. But even today, there are patients who come and they ask that, it's very humiliating also. Why unnecessary? Anyway, so this is going to be what? Hymen. So hymen can be broken nowadays, by normal activities also. There's nothing like it's not possible. Okay, and majority 99.9% of our females, especially the modern day females, are ought to break their hymen during all these activities. Okay, it is not painful at all because it's just a mucus covering. It's not a muscular covering. It's not painful. Yeah, it should be banned, but anyway. Well, the third one they are saying is the opening of the Bartholin glands. These are the ducts which are present on the either side. So I'll just show you where are the Bartholin glands. So someone was asking me that uh, where is the like where are the glands? So this is the gland. Huh? How will we know if the hymen is broken? There's going to be just a drop of blood sometimes oozing out when it breaks, and it's not painful. But sometimes, like if it the time it gets broken due to any activities, like a pinful of blood, a point of blood can be seen. It's not painful at all, as I say. Okay. No, hymen can never be formed again in a female's body. Never ever can it form unless and until you reconstruct it artificially. Okay. So some females go for reconstruction artificially, but it's of no use ultimately. But it cannot be formed on its own. Never. Okay. The purpose of hymen is basically protection in the early age. Okay, like the early age may it needs like it's going to be lubricating, it needs to give protection. So otherwise nothing specific. Well, Look at the Bartholin gland, beta. It is homologous to the Cowper's gland. I hope you all know what is Cowper's gland by now. In human female, it is one pair on each side. These are also known as greater and lesser vestibular glands. These glands are situated on the lateral side of the vagina and on both sides of the Bartholin ducts, open into the vestibule. It secretes alkaline fluid during sexual excitement and that lubricates the vagina. Okay? So look over here. Here they have, this is your mons pubis over here, right? This is the labia majora. This is going to be the labia minora. This is the clitoris over here. This is going to be the urethral opening. This is the vaginal opening. And here you can see the Bartholin gland ducts, lesser. Bartholin gland ducts, ग्रेटर तो दिया है ना ग्रेटर एंड लेसर तो ऊपर की तरफ जो है ये इधर ये लेसर है मतलब छोटे है ये ग्रेटर है ये बड़े है ये डक्ट्स है ठीक है एंड दे ओपन इनटू द वजाइना 4 in total yes my dear total 4 या इवन वाइल या हॉर्स राइडिंग तो हम मतलब होता ही है वो हाइमन ब्रेकिंग का इशू साइकिलिंग ऑल्सो it's fine nowadays so it's fine lesser इधर है बेटा you can see this Bartholin gland ducts इधर दिखाई दे रहे हैं वो इधर ये इधर इधर एक है और इधर एक है can you see it's coming like this way ये देखो okay lesser and greater the ones which you can very clearly see is going to be the greater ones and इनके पीछे जो है जो इधर आ जाएंगे they are going to be the lesser ones so lesser and greater total 4 otherwise this is very acidic the vagina is going to have a lot of lactic acid bacteria okay and therefore it's going to be the vagina is going to be highly acidic so to make it neutral generally these are going to be secreting the alkaline one yeah what do you want me to explain vestibule is that boat shaped structure this entire na is going to be called as the vestibule can you see this below the clitoris up till this end this is going to be the vestibule which is having one opening for the urine discharge and one opening that is the vagina yes lactic acid curd wala yes okay hymen will be in over here over the vaginal opening na the hymen will be present over here this portion these two openings together will not be called anything these two openings together will be held inside the same tubule which is called as vestibule urethral opening with the vaginal opening together will be placed in the same structure which will be called as vestibule okay it will be called as vaginal vestibule got this understood up till the Bartholin gland very clearly my dears I won't go with the histology of the ovary today I'll stop for today otherwise जितना पढ़ाया है ना ये भी बाउंसर चला जाएगा आज इधर तक पढ़ाया है अगले लेक्चर में हम लोग internal tissue studies कर लेंगे and we will also study about how the egg is going to be formed a very beautiful process okay it is going to be a shedding of the endometrium will take place in the where will it take place in the uterus this is going to be in the vagina okay so there is no problem with that it's just a fine mucus flap hai wo just like a curtain आगे पीछे इलास्टिसिटी होती है घूमता रहता है प्रेशर से बाहर अंदर बाहर चलता रहता है वो very fine thin you will not even realize it it's very thin that will just open like a door close like a door open like a door close like a door and if it gets detached from this particular point we call it as detachment of the hymen it's attached on one side it will open like a flap got it fine but any doubts my dears yeah no it's not a wall it's just like a door like a thing flap like a thing ठीक है, चल ओके बच्चास, see you all. Today is Friday. Have a nice weekend. Study well for your VAT. You have got VAT on this Sunday. Please study nicely. You know the portion already. It's going to be a mixture of all the 3 chapters. All the best and see you all. Bye bye.